Shane Beamer speaks to the media, says that two of the most important players on the team are not going to be ready by week one. We have a big takeaway from it, and we also have some news of a player that already left for the NFL, might be able to come back this year. A lot to discuss, plus Josh Pate, the interview you've been waiting for, recorded last week. He is on to talk about all things South Carolina, the ceiling and the floor for this team, keys to 2026, and several other hot takes as well you're not going to want to miss. Locked On Gamecocks starts right now.
You are Locked On Gamecocks, your daily podcast on the South Carolina Gamecocks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yo, it's Chris Marler, host of the Locked On Gamecocks podcast, part of the Locked On Sports Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network in America. We have you to thank for that. We have Kalshi to thank for today's episode. Today's episode brought to you by Kalshi. For a limited time, download the Kalshi app and use the code Locked On, all capital letters, all one word, to get $10 off when you trade $10. Now, I'm going to go over today's show. It's going to be a little bit of a mix grab bag. I don't know how to explain it, but just bear with me here. We recorded an episode or an interview with Josh Pate last Thursday or Friday. I think it's Thursday. Only day he could do it. Went ahead and knocked it out. Didn't want to miss it. So we went ahead and recorded it for this upcoming week. I'm going to be wearing a different shirt. I think I look the same other than that, but it's part of interview week, which has been everything we posted this week. Shane Beamer on Monday, Alyssa Lang on Tuesday, JD Pickell on Wednesday, and now Josh Pate on Thursday. First and foremost, I want to say thank you so much to the incredible response you guys have had in the comment section from both the guests with Lang and Coach Beamer. It's been really awesome. I really appreciate it. We put a lot of hard work into this week, and we'll continue to do it. We got more coming next week. Just, some of my favorite people, not as big as Coach Beamer and Alyssa Lang, but still some of my favorite people, and I know you're going to love them too, including one of our favorites. I'm hoping, I got to nail down the time, but JC Sherbert will hopefully be joining the show as well. Now, today's episode, breaking news out of the world of college football, two things that are actually pretty big. One, from South Carolina, and I was sent this by multiple people. My mom said it to me. Christopher, what's going on? These two players aren't going to be ready for the start of the season. Jacarius Peak, Dylan Stewart. Coach Beamer said earlier today that neither one of them are ready to play for the first game of the season. Chris Lowe also reported, he said, neither are long-term injuries, but they are going to play and want to play. I just know that it's realistic to think they will be. I just don't know that it's realistic to think they will be back for the start of the season. Neither has practiced during preseason camp. They have done work and workouts and all that kind of stuff on the sidelines. But that is the news that came out today. So you see all these graphics and I wouldn't say clickbait headlines. That's not what it is, but it's just headlines of, hey, Dylan Stewart, Jacarius Peak, not ready for game one. Well, we're not allowed to cuss on the show, but for this one, I'm feeling myself this week. No shit. Like, of course they're not going to play. Of course they're not going to play this week. So in the opening week, you play Kent State, who is, I think I saw recently in the CBS Sports Top 138, ranking all 138 teams in FBS. Believe they were on 136, ahead of like UMass and Middle Tennessee State. So of course they're not going to play. And this is, I jokingly said earlier, my mom sent me the thing. She said, did you see this? And I was like, she's like, well, that's no good. Well, Mom, if you have been listening to the show all off season, you and I both know, all the listeners, that we have said over and over and over again, hey, you don't need them for Kent State. You don't need them the week after for Towson. What you need is to have them ready by week 3. And that is a month from today when I record this on Wednesday, August 19th. It's coming out Tuesday or Thursday. But on Wednesday, August 19th, we are 1 month away from the first SEC game against Camario Taylor, Mississippi State, which is a massive, massive game that we've talked about a bunch and will continue to do so. So the sky is not falling. I don't think you need to be super concerned about Jacarius Peak and Dylan Stewart not being ready there. I think if I'm spinning this in a way that's like, ultimate sunshine pump or whatever, there's no reason. We said this like when they first got injured. You don't need either of them until this game. Like they're probably ready to go. If they were playing Mississippi State or Alabama week 1, I bet you'd have a different answer from Shane Beamer about them being ready to go. But also, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And one thing we've talked about recently, and it coincides with how Lane Kiffin and Kendal Briles have kind of thought through things and the way they've gone about handling business and practice and stuff like that, is in this day and age, especially in the SEC, You have a 12-game conference schedule. Now you have you have a 12-game regular season. You have a 9-game conference schedule, and every single team in this league is mandatory. It's mandatory they have to play a 10th game against a Power 4 opponent. So you can't just do what Indiana does, which is have 3 soft as baby shit. I said it twice now. It's my bad. Soft non-conference games. My bad on the cussing. I will clean it up. But you don't have that luxury here. So one of the things even Kiffin said is like, we've done this with Briles before. I don't know if Briles is doing it now because he's not the one calling the shots at practice every day. But like, you get some players that go on a pitch count in practice. You need all these guys to be ready, not by week 1. You need them ready by week 9 and 10 and 11. And like when A&M comes to town and you got to go on the road to Clemson, you got Georgia, and you got Tennessee. And like, I don't care about Kent State and Towson. You should run them out of the building. And I'll go a step further. If you win by 3, it's still a dub. And just like the old Dominion game a couple years back, it shows it doesn't matter. No one remembers that game because of what happened later in the season. Now, I don't think that's going to be what happens. I think these two will be on the field ready to go when you need them by week 3, and that's fine. So, and I also think they're going to blow the doors off of Kent State and Towson. So, I don't know if we'll see them on a pitch count in practice moving forward, but this is one thing that's become a much more consistently used and adopted mentality from head coaches around the league, especially in this league, in the SEC, is, hey, man, like we're not going to be as physical sometimes in practice. We're not going to we want our starters out as early as possible. I talked to multiple coaches this offseason, right? And it's because it's one thing Kiffin said that sparked my interest. And I'm not going to say names, but there's a few of them that are like, yeah, we didn't want to play a 9th coverage game. We didn't really want to play a 10th Power 4 game because what we wanted to do was, we know how difficult this league is. We're going to schedule very easily in the non-con because we want our starters out as quickly as possible. We want them to be ready to go in the SEC. And I think that's what you're going to have here, minus them being, I don't think they're being benched, throughout the entire season. I don't know if they'll be on a pitch count once we get to that game, but still very, very interesting. Not as big of a deal as some, I think the graphics and initial knee-jerk reactions would have said. If you listen to the show, I've been saying this for months. This was, I think, the plan all along. And anything else just would have been, a little added value if they were going to play earlier. Now, the other news that came out today was pretty interesting was this, and it affects one specific player from South Carolina, but former Ole Miss starters, Daquan Wright, Xavier Harris, and Wyatt Williams, all of whom signed with NFL teams this summer, are among a group of athletes of 80 total players who have been granted a temporary restraining order Wednesday to return to college for one more season. Some of the teams are on the SEC. They got this. It's those 3 I just mentioned from Ole Miss, Jack Pyburn, a kid who played at Florida now, and then LSU. And then one very familiar name that you may remember, and that is DQ Smith. He is going to be granted an extra year of eligibility to come back and play if he chooses to do so, or if he is allowed to do so. He is it listed as a safety, obviously, a guy that went to the went to the NFL draft, was not picked up. I don't believe he was picked up. I'm pretty confident he wasn't, but I think struggling to make a NFL roster. And so now you've been granted this TRO, a temporary restraining order, to come back. And I don't want to even have, we'll have a longer conversation about this later, about my thoughts on this. Admittedly, it's like, if it helps the team, I'm kind of for it. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it's bad for college football, because it's like, dude, if you already went, this is not about DQ Smith, it's about all of them. Like, if you already went to the NFL and you didn't get picked up, like, how much more are you going to progress this season? This is not like a situation where you were Trinidad Chambliss at Ferris State and were unknown and no one saw you play. And now all of a sudden it's like, well, if I get one more year and I get to go play in the SEC, or Joey Aguilar at Tennessee, it's like, I get one more year in the SEC. What if I'm able to progress this thing? Well, that's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is you can return to your own school. And I think that's the way they're trying to set up some of the rulings on this, which is, and the parameters, which is, you can come back, but you can only do it at your school, which I don't know how helpful that is, because most of those schools specifically built their roster with the idea that they had to replace you. So I don't know the ins and outs of all that yet, like the legalities of it necessarily. I do know how I feel on it. We'll talk on it at length much more later, probably on tomorrow's episode. I'll be in New Orleans, but we'll still hopefully have a show. And so that's it. So that's the big news that came out today. Obviously, Jakari's Peak, Dylan Stewart, but then also DQ Smith potentially coming back. I've not heard if Beamer has spoken on this yet. It is a hot button conversation and topic that's been going on as the day is unfolded, but that's it. So we'll get more into that tomorrow. I appreciate you for listening. Now we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to get to the interview that I've been very excited for. Josh Pate, I'm going to give you an intro when we come back. Before we do, let's pay some bills, and we will get back in just a moment. All right. So before we go to this interview with Josh Pate, I do want to give a shout out to our friends over at Kalshi. And guys, if you have not already gone over there and signed up, I don't know what you're waiting for. I'm pulling an Ellie Goulding. What are you waiting for? Listen, you guys know just as well as I do. Most of this offseason, we were talking about predictions and who's going to win the conference, who's going to make the playoff, who's going to end up holding up the trophy at the end of the season, all that kind of stuff. And you can make your own predictions and trades in a peer-to-peer trading system in a live market. And it's awesome. It's unlike any sportsbook you've ever seen. And it's very, very accessible. It's very easy to use. It's very user-friendly. And more than anything, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. On Kalshi, you're not trading against, or you're not betting against a book. You are trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in or out of your position. You can trade a draft pick, a game. You can make trades on almost anything under the sun. Like if you can picture it, I think the weather is something you can even make trades on. But download the Kalshi app and use the Kalshi app. Use the code Locked On, all capital letters, all one word, to get $10 off when you trade $10. That's KALSHI, Kalshi. Trade on anything. I told you guys this last week. I put $100 in to Kalshi. I also, for my first $10 trade, I was able to get $10 back because of this awesome deal. And we put 100 on South Carolina to go over 6.5 wins on the season, or I think it was 6 or more wins on the season. And it's the trade would net 187 total. So I'd win $87 profit afterwards, which I am excited about. But listen, it's 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, venues, or values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. Also, it's Thursday, so what that means, it's time to give a shout out to my new favorite, my fashion advisors, my friends over at Poncho. Here's the deal. Now, you can tell I'm not wearing it right now, and that's only because I'm going to be wearing it this weekend at the bachelor party, and I'm fired up for it because it keeps me cool. It's super comfortable. It's very lightweight, and I get to rep Carolina even though I'm not in the state because we will be in New Orleans for the bachelor party. Now, let me tell you about Poncho. If you're like me and you live in game day gear throughout football season, you're going to want to check out Poncho's new game day collection. It's one of those things where it's like a performance shirt that doesn't look like one. It's clean, sharp, and it's like something you'd actually want to wear. Plus, you get to rep Carolina in style. The best part for me, it's built for real life, guys. It's super lightweight, super breathable, super comfortable. And if you're a big body dude like me, or you're just kind of, like I said earlier, I'm kind of in between sizes, the best part about it is that they don't have a one-size-fits-all situation. You can get it with regular, slim, or tall fit, plus short or long sleeves. I'm trying to get all of the options because I love them that much, and I cannot wait to wear it this weekend. Now, even better news, I told you about the Natty Back Guarantee last week that ended on August 16th. Well, they have extended the promotion and said from August 2nd to September 7th, you're covered by Poncho's Natty Back Guarantee. If your team wins the College Football National Championship, Poncho will give you a full refund on your purchase, and you get to keep the shirt. I'm telling you right now, you will love it. Go to ponchooutdoors.com/locked on. Enter your email to get $10 off and free shipping on your first order. That is PONCHO outdoors.com/locked on. Head there, drop your email, get $10 off and free shipping. And once you try one, you'll get I've got a closet full and plenty more on the way. All right, let's get to it. I want to say this first and foremost. Josh Pate is one of my oldest friends of this industry. We used to work together like in a a television station once a week in Columbus, Georgia, which I had forgotten about until he brought it up to me. This was like in 2013. But a great dude, having tremendous success, love him to death, and he was kind enough to join the show and come on here and give us I forgot how much time. Now it is from last week, so I'm going to look a little bit different. I'm wearing something else. I don't think I have my hat on, but This is the interview with Josh Pate. I hope you enjoy. We've got my favorite person outside of Coach Beamer, maybe of the week. It is my dear old friend, Josh Pate. You may have seen Josh Pate before, probably everywhere. It's hard to miss because of how barrel-chested and big-armed he is, and he does a great job in all things he does. Watching his ascension has been incredible. Now, I have a bone to pick with Josh because last week he threw out a graphic saying LaNorris Sellers is the number one quarterback in the SEC, and then went back and made the full graphic, and he was number 7. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all things South Carolina, and we've got a great interview with our buddy Josh Pate, and let's bring Josh in right now. Josh Pate, self-described hero. You look great, as usual. How are you?
I'm wearing Oklahoma Breakdown podcast regalia, so I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. I'm excited for the season to finally kick off. So we're recording this earlier, but if we're in the future, our future selves, I'm going to my bachelor party in 3 hours. So it's lucky that we didn't record this the day of because your boy would probably be having a few already. I'm very fired up for it.
Yeah.
That's about it. But we'll get to that in a minute at the end of this 10-minute segment. I want to start with something you did that was really frustrating and rude for South Carolina fans. You blue-balled the fan base. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this on this PG show, but you threw out LaNorris Sellers as the number 1 ranked quarterback on your quarterback rankings, and then you dropped him to 7. I didn't think I had a problem with the rankings in general, but just kind of explain where you think he fits in the SEC this year.
Well, you know my general policy of anything that is good that happens in accordance with my show, I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
The stuff that gets criticized, that's why you have a producer to throw it in his lap. So, and this story does happen to be true. We're sitting around the conference room. It's like 3:30 in the afternoon the other day. I'm going to release the SEC quarterback rankings that night, which, as we all know, is 100% guaranteed to be a disaster for me,
no matter what,
at some point. This is the same thing that led me to rank DJ Lagway number 1 in the SEC last year. So I have no bones made about the fact that this is going to end poorly for me somehow. Yeah. At the very least, Jesse says, you know what you should do? What? You should put out a teaser graphic and rank, I don't know, who should it be? LaNorris Sellers, number 1. And I'm like, I'm busy writing and I'm answering calls. And it was basically this right here. Yeah, whatever. That was the decision. That's how we made the decision. And then we put it out there. And then only afterwards do you think to yourself, does LaNorris Sellers deserve this? Do South Carolina fans deserve this? You know, what I didn't think is, what is Marler going to think about this? That really is irrelevant. But a lot of the other stuff, it does matter. So I know that maybe I'm on the outs with some people right now, but if you could just deliver a message from me to them, it would be this. I'm sorry for what Jesse did to you.
That's so perfectly paid. That's great. And I just followed producer Jesse this morning on Twitter. I'm going to go unfollow him immediately now that I know the backstory. All jokes aside, though, because I think that we talk about LaNorris a lot and it has to be tethered to what he did in 2024 at the last 6 games. Because last year, Mike Shula, we all know what happened. But what do you think the ceiling is like for the rankings? I think it's obvious who 1 and 2 are. It's Trinidad and probably Sam Levitt. No, I'm messing with you. It's definitely Trinidad and Arch for sure. But I think that LaNorris could get up there by the end of the season. Like, what do you think his ceiling could be?
I think so. The way I looked at him, I really was messing around with putting him like top 5. As a player, I'm really high on him. I've never wavered on that. The difference is they don't compete in a vacuum. It's not like everyone gets a shot with Texas's roster. One person does. So to me, it's a lot more a conditional thing with LaNorris Sellers and some other guys of supporting cast. You know, because like, what if he maxes out his potential, but O-line plays not there, wide receiver still an issue, blah, blah, blah. So if we're talking about potential, though, like if we're talking about upside, well, he's an extremely dynamic player. He's a high caliber athlete. You're also talking about multi-year starter in a system. Look, if there's an ounce of merit, validity, whatever, to what Shane's talked about for months, and that is when I was hiring Kendal Briles here, like LaNorris was heavily involved in the process. That's the kind of guy he wanted to play with. Look, if there's any merit to that, I'm not saying if there's validity, I trust that happened. If there's like merit, if there's juice behind that, it'll bear itself out this year. They'll win some close games. They'll be a surprise team at the midpoint of the season. turnovers won't be an issue, really high level, like third down team winning on the margins.
Yeah.
That would be the high level. The low level is just more what happened last year, which is one guy can't do it all.
Right. Yeah, I say this all the time. It's like I feel like last year the most perfect example of LaNorris and what this team was you see the highlight reel throw he made against Missouri where he rolls out across the body left and it's like a 35-yard strike to Harbor and it's like, cool, 4th and 3. And it was 3rd and 38. Like that cannot happen. So yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you. It's kind of, it might be very similar to the next question. So I hope I didn't ruin that. But I think like talk about the ceiling and the floor for this team. It does feel like it's closely tied to what LaNorris can do, even though there's so many other components. What do you think the ceiling and the floor is for this year's team? Because I personally think, and maybe I've just been making the Kool-Aid and drinking it at the same time. It feels like there's 2 games on the schedule that I think are definite losses, Georgia and Oklahoma.
Yep.
I think they have a chance to win in every single one of the other games. But what do you think the ceiling and the floor would be?
Sorry, I pulled up the schedule. All right. I would tentatively agree with you in what you said about Georgia. Yeah. Look, I'm not penning in any losses these days just because of how compacted things are. Tentatively, though, I would agree with you there. I would tend to say the same thing about Oklahoma. The only thing that hangs in my mind is 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, when they go to Bama, when South Carolina goes to Bama.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just a game that should be a double-digit win for Alabama.
Right.
And yet did that game go to overtime? It's right down to the wire.
It almost did. Remember, it was the 14-0, and then all of a sudden Carolina coming back and they scored with like a bunch of points in the last minute.
Yeah, and then the next week was the Oklahoma game where it was the turnover game and they was off to the races. So I always reserve space in the back of my mind for that kind of mechanism to click. Yeah. Outside of that, yes, I would agree with you. Okay, so Kent, Towson, Mississippi State, those need to be wins or else we've got a much deeper conversation. No. I think Kentucky at home needs to be a win. That's 4. Going to Arkansas. That's a thin roster late in the year. That needs to be a win. I'm counting 5 of them there.
Yeah, I've seen that as like a trendy pick for an upset lately on social media, and I'm like, what are we doing?
I mean, if people are talking about South Carolina, Arkansas predictions for Saturday, November 14th, like get a life. I cover college football 365 days a year. Get a life. So if we're going at Bama, at Florida, Tennessee, at Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia, Clemson, that's 6 more games. Mm-hmm. I think my math is right on that. Winning 3 of those somehow is, to me, best case.
Okay.
Do you disagree? Does that up to 8 wins? Is that what we get to, or 7 wins?
Well, you were missing a game somewhere because that's only 11 total games.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah.
Clemson, Towson, Mississippi State. Hold on. I know this is stirring radio, even though we're not on radio. That's 3. Kentucky is 4. Arkansas is 5.
Yeah.
Those were the ones that I'm willing to put in the win column. Right. Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, Oklahoma, A&M, Georgia, Clemson. So that's 7. All right, so let's say 4 of those 7, and this would require maybe South Carolina being up and some combination of a couple of those teams being down, which is degrees of seeable for some of those teams. That would be 9 would be the ceiling.
Okay, and I think that's
3 games off, by the way. 3 games off one scenario versus the other, but whatever, go ahead.
I do think that that's about where I'm at with it too. I think that the biggest thing for me with watching where this team could go is like, if you get to 9, I think the fan base is like, all right, well, does that mean we're in? And it's like, no, you remember what happened 2 years ago? Because I think you would have to be in, you would have to have a win against an Oklahoma, Bama, A&M, or Georgia. Like you'd probably have to win 2 of those. I think the Bama game, I'm starting to kind of think that even though it's on the road, the things that Mississippi State can do offensively with Kamario Taylor almost worry me a little bit more because I love the matchup with Bama's offensive line versus South Carolina's defensive line. I don't think Alabama's offensive line is going to be good this year. I just don't think it's going to be very good. I know they got a bunch of wideouts. They got two running backs that are injured already in fall camp. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like every time I get into this conversation about South Carolina versus Bama and A&M, the conversation's like, yeah, it's a definite loss for Carolina. It's like, you could argue they should have won all 4 of those games the last 2 years against us. Yes, go ahead.
Inside of my hand's white. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So my counter to that would be, well, am I going to trust a South Carolina offensive line going on the road the first time, because that's their first road game of the year, with the offensive tackle situation.
That's fair. It's also not a night. It's also not an early game like it was 2 years ago. It was like the 11 a.m. kick. This one's like in that flex or night game.
This is the same day in the SEC, mind you, when Texas plays Tennessee, Oklahoma plays Georgia, and I want to say A&M plays LSU.
At LSU, yeah.
And mixed into all that, the Big Ten decides to say, USC Penn State whiteout. Why not? Let's just do it. I have to watch all that stacked on top of each other. Meanwhile, we've got a week one that's totally barren of marquee games. You think that I'm messing around about being commissioner of this sport.
Sometimes I don't.
But in this case, someone's got to come in and just say, great schedule. Nope, we're not doing it that way. Here's what you're going to – this right here, you guys who are paid millions of dollars, players included, this is what you're going to play this year. You don't get any say-so over it. Have fun.
Do you have 5 more minutes, by the way? Because I know I already said 10.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, you the man. Is it funny to you? And we're going to go off the rails now because I feel like we've talked a decent amount about Carolina.
Man, thank God we've been on the rails so far.
Yeah.
Here we go now.
But is it weird to you that because I don't know if it was a joke when it started. I think it was somewhat in jest. Like it wasn't like 100% like, I'm going to be the commissioner of college football. Is it weird to you that it's kind of picked up steam?
No.
Okay.
No. Because what other thing would pick up steam? Like at some point, if I were to sit in the teacher's chair in the classroom and say, I'm the teacher. Well, sometimes that's just because the teacher had to step outside and take a call. Right. So when she comes back in, she goes, get out of my chair. That person doesn't exist in college football.
Yeah.
The kid sits in the chair and then the kid just stays in the chair and he grows up and he gets bigger and his voice deepens a little bit. And everyone kind of looks and says, well, maybe he's the teacher. So why would I move out of the chair until someone tells me to move out of the chair? And then that person better be qualified to. And since that person doesn't exist and we can have fun with it, maybe we can turn fun into reality one day.
God, I hope so, man. I would actually be all for it. I also don't love the way that you described it because it reminds me of Nellie from The Office in season 8, which was a terrible character. But
no doubt. You're right about the character in that it was terrible. And that entire people say that season of The Office. I say that period of my life is something I want to forget. But the principles that Nellie Burcham, I think whatever her name was, taught us have stuck with me. So maybe something good did come out of Steve Carell leaving The Office.
Thanks. Finally, something nice from the British. What is the most Pate State thing about South Carolina football overall or this year?
Oh, very easily. It's that they have something sitting outside Williams-Brice Stadium called the Cockaboose. It's amazing. It's just amazing. There's a whole train sitting out there. That's how you tailgate. That's how you infuse culture into donor culture and like those two things clashing. Every time I go there, I will go see Shane. I will then make sure when we're leaving, I got a spare 2 minutes so that when we pull out and we come back out on that main road, we hop over to the Cockaboose and I take some kind of like obnoxious video or picture and I can send it to a lot of friends and then send the NDA because normally the videos I send from the Cockaboose are not meant for public consumption. No,
we did a tailgate with Austin Kroll from Southern Charm, who was in like my fantasy football league for years. I had no idea he was famous. We were in a fantasy football league together. And then I go to this Cockaboose thing and everyone's like, is that Austin Kroll? What is going on right now? Like my dumb ass walks in there at like 2019, all these people taking pictures. I'm like, yeah, I know. I work for Saturday Down South. You guys probably have seen me before. And it's just
read the lapel. Read the lapel.
It's perfect. All right, I'm gonna get you out of here on some rapid fire questions. And I appreciate you joining us, dude. I know you are the busiest person in the world. So thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to say go to Chick-fil-A order, but I don't know if you're eating Chick-fil-A because you're in such good shape.
No, I've got one. It's not anything impressive. It's the 12-count nugget meal, not grilled. If I'm gonna go there. I get the honey roasted barbecue sauce. Go ahead and enlarge up the fry, but the trade-off is bottled water instead of soda, so it balances stuff out.
Smart move. You're not going. I saw the schedule for this upcoming season of the Pate State Fall Tour.
Excuse me, the Don't Tread on Saturday Fall Tour.
My bad. I'm going to get the merch. I'm very excited about it. I'm just trying to
PateStateMaterial.com. Yes, PateStateMaterial.com. Wonderful shirts available.
Make sure you check it out. I will have a shirt soon. I'm like almost down to the size t-shirt I want to be. So I'm waiting to get that, Pate.
I thought you were about to say I'm almost down to the size where shirts are available for me. I thought you were about to say. Either way, congrats. I'm just whatever.
What a dick. That's good though. So next question would be: you're not going to a South Carolina game this year. If there was one that you were going to put on the tour, where would it be?
Well, I don't know that yet because that schedule draft graphic I put out the other day, that was just kind of something fun we did on the show where if you were technically picking the biggest game every week, that's what you would pick.
Right.
I have only decided the first 2 games we're going to this year. Everything else, like my balls are in South Carolina's court. So if they keep winning, we will be at a South Carolina game. Truth be told, I always look for an excuse to do that anyway, especially if it's in Columbia because it's one of my favorite places to go. So that's a giant question mark right now.
You need to get there in October when they play Tennessee because I think it's still when the state fair will be there. You'll be coming off Oklahoma, Texas. You'll have 2 fairs.
Yeah, well, the problem is, look, no one loves Cocktober more than me. They went winless in Cocktober last year. The magic, the luster, felt like it wore off. Last year. As we know, 2026 is a whole new year.
How many wins does Beamer have to stay safe? I think it's 7.
I think it's 7 if the losses are competitive. 8 if there's some ugly losses in there.
All right, last question. It's somewhat of a serious one. I don't want to hear a single thing you have to say about the fall wedding because I feel like we're doing it right on Friday night. Friday night wedding. Everyone comes over Saturday. We're going to watch football for 14 hours. But you got married last year. Best advice you can give me for the wedding?
Are you getting married privately and having like a public ceremony later, or are you doing the normal way where you do it like all at once?
Normal all at once on Friday night.
Okay, well, it's too late for me to give you the first piece of advice, which is do it the other way.
Okay.
So you're doing great. You're doing wonderful. Piece of advice number 2. You wake up every morning. You've got a bathroom in your house. There's a mirror in there. You realize, like, I'm Chris Marler.
Yeah.
I've probably vastly overshot my landing space here.
Wow.
Just don't screw it up is part 2. Okay. We all understand the average SEC couple theory is firmly in play.
What is going on? What is this so
you
rude?
ask for advice, shut up and take it. And then part 3 is make sure you don't skimp on the videographer. Make sure you don't skimp on capturing moments. Because what you don't want to try and do is go be performative at your wedding. I know you're a showman, but you don't want to be performative at the wedding. Like, make sure they're actual memories you take with you. Those would be my pieces of advice. Otherwise, get out of the way. They tried to get me to dance at my wedding. I'm not a dancer. Ooh. And I'm not a smoker, but I was outside the tent where the smokers would be at my own wedding, letting everyone else just have fun. That's how introverted I am when you get to the core of me.
All right, so be fat and accept it, and then make sure I have a videographer. Love it. I can do all those things. I appreciate it, brother. We will get at you next year, but have a great day and have a great season, man.
Love you too.
All right. That was our interview with Josh Pate. Got roasted at the end there. I don't know why. Love this dude to death, but also a very good lesson to be learned out of this that we're going to talk about when we come back right after this. Locked On Gamecocks continues with our last segment. All right, closing out today's show. Just kind of give you a little plan for what we're going to do. This episode comes out on Thursday. We're going to have some people on next week as well. Hopefully, like I said, JC Sherbert should be one. A couple other guys that I'm hoping to bring on and talk about not only South Carolina, but next week's a game week. Next week's week 0 games, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot to look forward to. Fired up about that. And then we are, I think, as of today, 17 days away from South Carolina football. So that will be big as well. In the meantime, I'll give you some advice that came from the Pate thing. It's kind of a joke, but it's also not. We were setting up this interview week all week, and I was trying to figure out, Pate was the first person I reached out to because he's the one I've known the longest, and we've had him on the show multiple times before, and he's come on all the other podcasts I do, and he's a good friend, in real life. And so I was trying to figure out, because he's just way more busy now than he used to be, and we had everything lined up. He had agreed to come on the show. And then he started giving me crap on social media about how he's like, well, I didn't even lock this thing down. And Marler's out here posting about it. Well, I posted about it, and we didn't have a time locked in yet, and it worked. bullying works. And if you are trying to get one of these shows off the ground or anything like that, just shoot your shot. That's all I would say. It was a really, really fun interview week. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully we'll have more, not only this upcoming week, but also throughout the season. But next episode, it'll just be me, my face, talking about South Carolina. Big weekend ahead, not just for me, obviously, that I've talked about way too much. South Carolina should have another scrimmage this weekend, and practice is still continuing down in Columbia. So that is all for today's episode. I appreciate you all so much. And until next time, be safe, be good to each other. Go Cox.